Well, there's big news tonight for Sergeant Drew Peterson, but it's not good news for him. Just a short time ago, a judge ruled that the estate of Peterson's wife, number 3, Kathleen Savio, is reopened. This means a wrongful death action can be filed against Drew Peterson. Because of the news that just broke in the Savio case, we want Drew Peterson to respond. He agreed, provided we did not ask him about his timeline for the day Stacy Peterson, wife number 4, disappeared. He will only talk about wife number 3. Since that is the news of the day, we agreed. Joining us live in Chicago is Drew Peterson and his lawyer, Joel Brodsky. Welcome to both of you, gentlemen. And Drew, your reaction to the decision to reopen the estate of Kathleen Savio.
Hi, Greta. How you been?
Good, thanks.
Okay. The reaction to it, I'm concerned about it, but I have Mr. Brodsky looking out for me, so I'm not really that worried.
Concerned? Can you elaborate a little bit more? I mean,
Well, anytime you're opened up to any type of civil or criminal litigation, it causes any type of concern while it's pending. So I'm sure we'll emerge victorious out of it when it's all over. But I'm concerned while it's pending.
Joel, your thoughts to it being open?
Well, we believe that the judge was. It's really a double-edged sword. There's good and bad in it. Obviously, we're disappointed in the judge's decision, and we've decided to file an appeal of the reopening of the estate. We don't believe that there really was a newly discovered asset or even an asset. But on the good side is, and we really thank Mr. Kelly for this, what he's given us by filing a civil lawsuit, or by when he files a civil lawsuit, is he's given us subpoena power. And what we'll be able to do with that subpoena power is subpoena all the evidence that we've been denied up to now. For example, we'll be able to subpoena the pathologist's report. We'll be able to subpoena Dr. Boden's report. We'll be able to depose witnesses, all things which we're unable to do.
Joel?
Yep.
Yes. Come on. I mean, cut that. You know, it also means
that's true.
Wait a second. You can subpoena that, but don't try to kid me. It also means that the guy sitting next to you, your client, is going to be subpoenaed. He's going to have to answer interrogatories. He's going to have to answer depositions. Drew, let me ask you this: do you intend to cooperate and answer? Well, that always looks good.
Well, it's under Illinois law, in a civil case where you're also the subject of a criminal investigation, not only can you take the Fifth, but in taking the Fifth, that's not counted against you as long as there's a pending criminal investigation. So
Drew?
It really won't hurt him at all.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Drew, do you have? Are you going to take the Fifth?
I'll listen to the advice of my attorney, and what he directs me to do, I'll do.
But but you're willing to answer questions if Joel doesn't tell you not to, right?
Correct. I always have been.
What's the story with your uncle as being the executor? Why was he chosen?
Well, he was chosen because, myself and Kathleen didn't really trust anybody else. Kathleen didn't trust any of her family to do it, and he was somebody that was close to both of us, and we figured he was the most honorable and respected person that we knew to handle the issue for us.
Drew, did you read the coroner's jury's report when they had the first round after Kathleen Savio died?
No, I was just advised of certain things, and that it was an accidental death and it was a drowning. That's basically all we were told, and that's all the information that I had.
Were you ever suspicious it was anything more than just a drowning?
No, not at that time, none whatsoever.
Okay, so not at that time. Did something change that you became suspicious that it wasn't an accidental drowning?
Well, all this new information that Dr. Boden is coming out with has got me a little concerned that there was something different, but I'm more relying on the first fresh autopsy than I would be the second one that's several years later. So until we get to look at all the evidence and examine these coroner's reports, I'm still of the belief that she died accidentally in the bathtub.
But you have some reason to be a little bit suspicious based on the new information of Dr. Boden?
Well, it's just like I'm concerned. All of a sudden we have these people with fancy titles coming in and saying that it was a homicide, so let's look at it and see what really happened.
If that is indeed true, why in the world would you let your lawyer fight the reopening of the case if you yourself have concern?
Well, we also not so much the reopening of the case.
You fought. Wait a second, Joel. You fought reopening the estate.
Right.
Your client just says that he has reason to pause. That's my word, based on the new round of autopsies, including that done by Dr. Boden. But you fought it.
Right, and they're accusing him. And what you need to understand is what was why we don't want Henry Savio and Anna Doman involved in this, and Drew can probably talk about that. Go ahead, Drew.
Which is why? Why don't you want the father and sister?
Well, here's two people that are coming in under the flag of they're doing this for the good of the children. Here's a couple people who had really no concern about my children whatsoever, and we're talking specifically about Tom and Chris. Henry Savio, the grandfather, met his grandchildren one time, and that was at Kathleen's funeral. He looked at them and nodded and kind of dismissed them. So, and they haven't had any contact or concern about them, since Kathleen died whatsoever. Henry Savio, the father, hasn't had any contact or concern of these children whatsoever. He didn't even show up at Kathleen and I's wedding. And now all of a sudden this man's coming forward as the doting father and wanting to take charge of Kathleen's affairs, when really he kind of dismissed Kathleen as she was a child. So here's a guy that's got all this interest because there's money involved, not because he's concerned about the well-being of the kids.
Yeah, we believe
Drew,
Okay,
Drew,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Drew, what do you make of the Reverend's statements that Stacy said essentially that you killed Kathleen Savio?
I really can't even guess on the validity of all those. Here's a guy who states that Stacy came up to him and told him that I did something to Kathleen, and then he tells her to go home and make things right with your wife. As a police officer, if a woman came up to me and told me that her husband was involved in a homicide, I would immediately be taking that woman into some sort of protective custody, her and the kids, and get into a place of safety and open up an investigation immediately. All of a sudden this guy's coming forth after Stacy disappears with this information. Why is he waiting so long? I mean, I got some serious problems with everything Mr. Shore's saying or the validity of what he's saying. I have questioned if Stacy even said that, and if she did say it, what was her motives? Because of course none of that happened.
Drew, Joel, I hope you both come back. I hope you thought that you had a fair opportunity to answer all the questions. We didn't have much time, but
maybe more time.
Maybe more time.
Maybe another day.
Indeed. In fact, I want to get that timeline question answered.
I'll bet you do. We'll talk to you later.
Hey, Greta.
Waiting. Yeah, Drew.
Greta, you owe Lacey a tea party.
All right. I'll do. All you got to do is answer a question. Where were you October 28th? And Joel, I'll even give you. Joel, give you that picture you want. I'll let the viewers try to guess what that one is. But anyway,
okay.
Thank you both. And that timeline question, you're always welcome to come back and answer.
Thanks, Greta.
Thank you, Greta.
Coming up, Inside